Okay.
Okay, we'll get going then. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Lackawanna County, Pennsylvania and Tyler Technologies, welcome to our virtual informational session concerning the Countywide reassessment for Lackawanna County. My name is Christopher Durancher. I am the appraisal project supervisor for the reassessment. I'll be working hand in hand with Lackawanna County's reassessment office as we work on the reassessment over these next 4 years or so. So without further ado, we'll get going. The whole mission of today is I'd like to give you a little, information and education on exactly what's going to be happening over these next several years with the reassessment. I also want to bring you the public themselves into the process of, letting you know how much you can take part in this reassessment, from these virtual meetings to the public meetings we have already shared, and other steps along the way where you really have a great and wonderful opportunity to really be involved in what happens with your properties out there in Lackawanna County. So yes, your voice will be heard and you have many opportunities to do so. But we'll get into that a little bit later, but we'll move along. So in May of 2022, there was an RFP process. Following that, the county selected and contracted with Tyler Technologies to conduct the countywide reassessment. That began back in May, and we have since that time slowly been working in the office up here to establish an office in Lackawanna County, Pennsylvania at the Government Center. And our hiring process has begun, and we bring everything up to speed to where we are today. So what's going to happen? So during reassessment, all properties must be assessed at the same standard of value to ensure equity, that each property owner is paying their fair share of property taxes. So as many of you know, maybe some of you don't know, the last countywide reassessment was 1968. So what we are going to do, over these next years we want to bring all these property values up to present day market value. And, that'll ensure that everyone is indeed paying their fair share. Some because of the time frame that has elapsed since 1968, the property values some of them aren't in line anymore. So when we say fair share, that's to bring those property values up to the present day market value. We are going to be looking at somewhere in the ballpark of 105,000 to 107,000 parcels throughout the entire county of Lackawanna, Pennsylvania. And yes, we will be visiting those parcels, and I'll get more detail as we go down in this presentation as to exactly the details of how we'll do that, what we're looking for a little bit, who will be coming to your property, how they will present themselves, so everybody has a really good understanding of what's going to be happening out there. So again, yes, we will visit these properties, and then Tyler employees will be on the property, and I'll give you a little more detail as we go along. What are some of your fears? So this is the education part. Most people do have fears when it comes to a reassessment. They don't know what's going to happen. They don't know what role they're going to play in it. So again, this virtual informational session is really a good chance to understand your part in it and understand what Tyler and the county are going to do over these next couple of years. The big fears, the ones that always pop up. Will I be paying more taxes? Will the government be spending more? Are they going to discover things on my property, that maybe weren't reassessed or weren't assessed in the past? Well, yes, we're going to visit these properties. We will be looking very closely at these properties and bringing them up to present day. What's there? What's not there, too, is another important thing. You may have raised barns or outbuildings off of your property. We will make note of that as well, not just the improvements to the property. So once we get out there, yes, it's going to be a comprehensive view of your property. It's going to be a uniform view of your property. We will have certain things we're looking for, when we do go out there. And so, yes, these are the three major fears that do pop up during the reassessment. We're going to try to address them all with you. Will a new assessment mean that I pay more taxes? A property's assessment should reflect its market value. As market value increases or decreases, assessed values may not reflect those changes. So this again goes back to that time frame we're dealing with since 1968. So property values have changed. They have gone up, they have gone down. Specific properties have increased, specific properties have decreased in value. It just means that some of the property owners with outdated assessments could be paying more than their fair share of taxes, while others may be paying less. And again, that reflects what has happened in Lackawanna County, Pennsylvania since 1968. And again, I bring you back to the basics of we are here to bring those properties up to present day market value in a uniform and fair way, so it does reflect the current market value. The reassessment process will correct these inequities. If your assessment, now again, we go back to the frame I just had before that, the reassessment fears. If your assessment does increase, it does not necessarily mean your taxes will increase. Again, I'll have the opportunity to go into that a little further and give you a little more insight of what we've seen, in the industry of, when depending on what a assessment does, what you can expect, estimates that would be as far as what, we have seen trends, if your assessment goes up versus stay the same versus go down. I'll get into a little more of that in the next couple of slides. Again, going back to the reassessment fears of government spending, will the county or school collect more taxes as a result of the reassessment? This is one that we deal with a lot, and it is a legitimate fear. But the county and the school districts are capped by law on how much additional revenue can be generated from a reassessment. Following the reassessment, property taxes will be adjusted to ensure the taxing entity does not collect more than allowed by statute, which means the millage rates will be adjusted to take into account the new assessed values. Revenue neutral, another word that we deal with here during the reassessment process. Reassessment does not increase or decrease tax revenues. The total tax burden is distributed more fairly. So again, that goes back to what I was talking about before. Again, I'm going to reference 1968 of what properties have done since 1968. Have some gone up, have some gone down? Yes. And then once again, this comes back to the distribution more fairly of those, the reassessment, the assessed values of the property, and then a fair distribution of the taxes as well. A resident's county, municipal, and school taxes are based on the assessed value of the property. So there, once that assessed value is set and the millage rate is applied, and then that's where your taxes will come into play. But again, we are here to bring everything up to a more fair and equitable distribution of those taxes based on the assessments of the fair market value that we set for present day. Past practice shows, now again, this is an estimate. These are not exact percentages. Past practice and what we have seen in our past, trends as far as what has happened with the assessments of particular properties, be it residential or commercial, shows about 1/3 of the properties will see lower taxes, 1/3 will see no change at all, and 1/3 will see a tax increase. That's based on what we have seen in the past. That's based on other reassessments. Again, these are not exact percentages. These are not a third, and a third. These are not exact. These are simply estimates and kind of a trend to show you, to give you an idea of, once you see your, first your informal assessed value of the property, then your final, to give you a little bit of an idea. The reassessment will be revenue neutral for the county. As per state law, the point of the reassessment is to be fair and equitable for all taxpayers using the most accurate property values as a basis. We are here to establish those most accurate property values as a basis. So here's just a slide that gives you a little bit of a visual of what I was just talking about. So if you see here, examples 1, 2, and 3, consider them the thirds I just spoke of. Again, the thirds are an estimate. The 33% is an estimate. It's a trend. It's something we've seen in the past. It's something we can kind of put our finger on and say, here's maybe an idea just to set your mind at ease. If this happens, you may see this. If this happens, you may see that. So number one, lower than average change for your property class, your taxes are likely to decrease. Similar to average change for your property class, you may see your taxes not do much of anything or very, very slight change. Anything higher than average change to the property class, again, your taxes are based on the trends and based on what we've seen before, likely to increase. So this is just, again, another slide to give you a little bit of a visual of what I was just saying before, give you an idea of what to expect. Again, now we touch on the final one. Discovery of improvements. That touches on a lot of things. Outbuildings mostly, additions to homes, something that hasn't been documented either by the permit process or simply missed over the years or just not reported by the homeowner. It's a discovery of unknown improvements. Updating assessment records to include newly discovered improvements. Again, we come back to equity. Ensures the equity that everyone pays their fair share of taxes. So again, as we come to your properties, we'll be looking for that. We do have our base set of data that we'll be going off of, but we are here to improve that data to present day times, and that will include those undiscovered improvements to the property, be it again, additions, outbuildings, pools, in-ground pools, things like that. So we'll be looking for all those details on the property as we move along. And here comes your phases of the reassessment. So we're actually in these now. We've been up here in Lackawanna County since May. You established an office here in June. So here's what you can expect in the phases. Again, another great visual slide here to give you a good idea of how things kind of flow throughout the office and the field as well. What's going to be happening in your county of Lackawanna. So from mid-2022, which we're in right now, the door-to-door data collection will begin. We will establish the part of the county that we're going to begin in, and we'll begin sending our crews out there door to door. They will be coming onto your property. However, they will make every effort to contact you at your door. We will never enter the home unless someone does indeed invite us in, but that will be a case-by-case situation. Either to see a condition, say of a basement, for instance, or something like that. But the door-to-door data collection will begin again mid-22, which is right now, to early 2024. That process will be ongoing. During that time frame, the next step here, you'll see the data analysis. As data comes in from the field, from our field data collectors, we bring it back to the office. We input it into our system. We analyze that data over that entire process. So that's happening now until mid-2024. So as more data comes in, we continue the analysis process. So that's an ongoing thing. The analysis doesn't stop. It's begun already, and it will continue, like I said, as indicated on here, to 2024. Valuation and review. Now we're beginning to pull values in with that data. We're beginning to establish trends. We're beginning to take a look at what the market is saying to us based on sales, data, our on-site observations, the updating of the properties. And that valuation will begin in early 2024 and right around late 2024. Following that, and I'll get into this a little more detail as we move on to the next slides, you'll be given your property information mailers will come to your home. And again, as I said earlier on in the presentation, you have opportunities to take part in this reassessment process. And here, as those data mailers, which again, I said I'd detail later, when they come out, this is again your chance to take ownership and really play a role on your property's valuation. The more data we have when we take part in that return of the mailer is going to help us even further, here back at the office when we're doing data analysis, when we're doing valuation review. And then following that, we're going to begin our informal meetings. You'll get the opportunity to meet with a Tyler representative, and that will begin early 2025. Site visits. Now we'll get a little more detail about that site visit. I'll go down through these bullet points here because they're all very, very important. Trained data collectors will visit every property in the county. Training is very comprehensive, very thorough, very structured here at Tyler. Anyone new we bring on, we do have a good hiring process going right now to bring on new data collectors from Lackawanna County. We'd like to have them from the area. That process is ongoing right now, and they will be trained here in the office as well as in the field by our senior supervisory data collectors. They will give them the comprehensive training I spoke of so that when they do come to your house, they are fully aware of what Lackawanna County Assessment as well as Tyler Technologies will be looking for in the reassessment of your property. Data collectors will wear bright yellow vests and a Lackawanna County issued photo ID badge. It's very important. We want you to be very comfortable with the individual who's approaching your home. So that vest you see in the picture there, that is a good depiction of exactly what they'll be wearing. The badge will be a photo ID badge. You'll be able to see a picture of the data collector. And to go even one step further, on our website, once we have everyone in place, exactly who will be coming to the field, you will have a picture. You will be able to go onto Lackawanna County, Pennsylvania reassessment website, as well as Tyler Technologies reassessment website, and see a picture of the data collector who has come to your home, You'll have a description of the vehicle that they are driving in. And prior to working in a particular area of the county, we are working very closely with community relations here at Lackawanna County to assure that local law enforcement, the local municipalities, code enforcement officers, everyone knows when we will be in a certain area. Now, the question is normally asked, can we make appointments? With the amount of properties we must see in this county, would be almost impossible. So what the best we can do is we're going to give as much lead time as possible to let you know when our data collectors will be in the area. So if you do happen to see a group on your block and you see the yellow vest, if you did reference, say, a week ago, the website, you kind of have an idea or a heads up that they'll be in the area. And again, local law enforcement will be aware of our presence. So please feel free to check their IDs, feel free to speak with them. And again, when they come to your door and interact with you and do a real informal interview with you concerning your home, this is your chance to get it right. This is your chance to get the fine details of your house, that we'll be looking for. When was the last time you did some upgrades to your home? They'll ask questions like that. How many beds, how many baths do you have? And again, there is no need for us to come into your home. We will not ask to come in the home, but we will ask if it would be okay if we took the exterior measurements, because we're here also to confirm the data of your house. That information, we have access to that already from prior work, from prior assessment work done in the field, and some prior work back in 2008. We have access to that information. However, we want to confirm things. We want to have it up to date as much as possible as we approach that 2024 and 25 sections of this reassessment. Data collectors, we practice social distancing. As you can see from this picture, we will stay back and we will continue to practice social distancing. Exterior measurements will be taken of all improvements. That includes outbuildings. We're going to try to get approximate shape and size of any in-ground pools on the property. They will be valued, so we're going to need to do that. And all will be documented and returned for the county to be entered into our system, IAS World. It's a CAMA system. So the data collectors, they're the boots on the ground for us here. They're the boots on the ground for the county over these next couple of years. And it's their chance to interact with you and just to have, a good comprehensive snapshot of your property taken. So the more information you're willing and able to give us, the better end result we can give you when it comes time to put a value on your home at present day. We use street level imaging. So what we're planning on doing is we'd also like to include now on the data of your property, a good picture of the property that gives you a chance to go on the county's website and say, yes, there's my photograph, or the assessor here in the office to take a look at the data card and be able to identify not only the address, but the property itself through photographs. Many of our data collectors, they will be carrying electronic tablets that they will be using in the field, which is linked to pictometry, which is linked to our data system as well. And it also gives them a chance to get a photograph of that property, as I said, in order to really attach the photo to the data of the property and the property record card. So yeah, if you see people taking pictures of your home with a tablet, and as I described before with the Tyler Best, that's what they're doing. They're updating your property data's photograph as well. The measurements of the house are to create a sketch for valuation, which will also go in our database back here at the county. And here, this next slide again just reiterates that it said field mobile tablets will be used to take that. Okay, full transparency. This is one I really like to speak about here, because we've got 2 links to this reassessment already through Lackawanna County, Pennsylvania. Lackawanna has their website, and Tyler also has their website linked to the same location. So here you see full transparency of exactly what's going on. So if you were able to go on either of these 2 sites, be it Tyler's or Lackawanna County, Pennsylvania, you'll notice that we like to call it a living document of what's going on with the reassessment. Anytime you can go on there, and as we hit milestones or stages within this reassessment, you'll begin to see it on Lackawanna's website as well as Tyler's, almost mirroring each other. Notices of meetings, notices of data collectors in your area. Again, as I had said before, we begin to pull our data collectors' photographs onto there once we establish our teams for specific areas of your county. So this is the full transparency of what we're doing, when we did it, why we're doing it, and what you can expect maybe in the future as well. So it's that living timeline again of what's happening throughout the entire reassessment process. Again, we don't want you to feel like you're in the dark of what's going on. There's a lot of information out there concerning this particular reassessment, and it's only a couple clicks away here on the website. So it's going to be a really useful tool for everyone out there. If they just hop on there, check out Tyler's, check out Lackawanna County's, you're going to find a wealth of information there. It'll bring you up to speed, and a lot of the questions you have, where you may not have really known what's going on, or you have the what if questions, you're going to find them on those two websites there. And that brings us to the data mailers. I spoke of this a couple minutes back. Again, here, this is where I referenced the property owners, be it residential or commercial. This is your opportunity to take part in this reassessment. This is you having control over your property and what data is being delivered back to our office. Confirmation of data, confirmation of what the assessors have gathered once they're out there. The data collectors once they're out there. So this is a really key part. And again, you'll see notice of mailing of data mailers on those two website links. So keep an eye out for it. Major milestones within this reassessment, you'll be able to find out when they're occurring. And this one, I stress, is very important because, again, this is your chance to take a look at this data mailer. And like I said, according here, the bullet points indicate it'll be mailed to each property owner. It'll occur from summer 2023 through spring of 2024. This is your opportunity for the owner to review and confirm or correct the items which will impact property values. In order to ensure accuracy and a high level of the assessment data, the data mailer should be signed and returned to us with noted changes. So this is your chance to take that piece of paper, review it as the property owner, and say, okay, this is good, this is fine. Sign it, return it, or have a chance to say, strike a few things out. Total number of full baths, 1. No, I'm sorry, there should be, there's only a half bath, or there's 2 full baths there. Or maybe it'll say 3 full baths and there's only 2. So that's just an example of what you can and cannot do with this particular this data mailer. So it's a real important part to, again, jump in, take part in the reassessment. This is one of many chances to be a part of the reassessment and confirm the details of your home. So now this particular slide here, this is more on the commercial end. The last one was for residential. So this is an income and expense survey. Commercial properties are valued by the cost approach and the income approach. Surveys will gather current and relevant income and expense data from the owners of commercial, industrial, and apartment properties. They will be mailed in spring of 2023. All information concerning financials, it's important to say, will be kept strictly confidential and used towards valuation. So that will be kept in this office. So this on the commercial and industrial side, this is a very important document. Again, commercial properties are valued different than the residential properties. So the more information we have, again, from the data mailer, this is a chance for the property owners to take part in this process, to be, a full part of disclosing information about their business that will help establish a solid, fair, and equitable value when we do put the assessment on it. So again, it's just a little bit of a different mailer with the different approaches to the commercial side of things. So we've been pretty much talking about this the entire time. This data review and analysis will go on throughout the process. So once you get your data mailer, a lot of these things that you see on the left-hand side of this particular slide here, location, market, age, conditions, improvements, all will play into the value of your home in the end. I mean, you go back to the old real estate adage, location, location, location. You could take identical houses and drop them in different parts of the county, and you will find 2 different assessments based on location, based on school district, things like that. So once you receive that data mailer in the mail and you have a value placed, once you receive your informal value of your property, all these things will be taken into account. Your location, your market, your age of your home, conditions, improvements that you do or don't have, the neighborhood that you live in, all of these play a role into the data analysis that we are doing. All of these drive a value, a present day market value of your house. So what you say to yourself is, once you receive that value, you take a look at it. You take a look at all these different bullet points to the left-hand side of this particular side. They all point back to property value. Do you think that number on that particular notice could I sell my home for that? Ask yourself that question. If you feel it's good, that's fine. If you feel that we're off, or if it's not, it doesn't reflect market value, that's fine too. Then that's where the informal hearing and then the formal hearing processes take place between Tyler and the county. So you have options at that point. But again, all of these things play into account, location, all of it. Ask yourself the question, could I sell my home for this? Sales market. Okay, so again, this is going on now. This is going to be going on over a 30-month period ending July 1st. It's a comprehensive sales study. Will be conducted for all properties that sold within Lackawanna County over a 30-month period. So again, the sales study is very important to us as we look at what the trends are over that 30-month period in your county. What's the real estate market doing? It helps us when we come to that point in July of 2024 where we need to put our assessed value on your home, present day, all of this, the ongoing analysis, the ongoing sales reviews, all of it helps us get to that end goal of your most accurate and equitable assessed value come July of 2024. Here's a good example of a comparable sales sheet. So you have your subject there on the left, and then to the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 comparable properties to the right. So anybody that's been in the sales or the appraisal world, you always see that we try to find comparable homes to yours. So we're not going to compare your home, as you see in this picture here, you have a ranch. And we're not going to compare that ranch to a 2-story. If you notice, all the homes in this particular picture are 1-story. So it kind of, without getting into too much detail of the comp sheet here, that gives you a good overview. We're going to compare comparable homes to comparable homes within a particular location in the county. That's key. We're going to, as we do these sales studies, as we do this analysis, we are breaking the county into neighborhoods, if you will. Those neighborhoods are dictated by school districts, commercial industrial areas. There'll be multiple ones throughout your county. So when we use that word location, and you can see it was at the top of the list before, that's one of the most important ones. And also comparing like homes to like homes, like businesses to like businesses, to the extent that we can. There's always those outliers out there that you can't find the perfect comp. But there's different homes, custom homes, things like that. There's a custom business. There's a business that just doesn't have comps that we can. So we will find the closest that we can. So then that's when location will come in. That's when these neighborhoods become very, very effective in setting those values on those particular custom properties, if you will. And then we have value review. So we're coming into all the data that we've gathered. So everything that we've done in the field, everything that we've done in sales studies, everything that we've done in analysis of the market, everything that we've done to break down neighborhoods, it all comes into the value review. We gather all the collected data. We review all the attributes of the particular property, be it residential or commercial. We use comparable data, just like we were on the screen before. So we identify outliers. There will be sales out there that aren't valid. In the real estate industry, the term is arm's length transaction. Anything that isn't an arm's length transaction, basically we won't use towards valuation. And then after we have all that and all the outliers are identified, we'll establish the new market value, and that's where your valuation begins to occur at that point. So that's your value review session. Now we're pulling everything we've done over these years together, to gather the most accurate, the most up-to-date, the most trending data that we can possibly use to establish the fairest value on your property, be it commercial or residential. So again, we go back to your notices of valuation, and I've already touched on this particular phase. Could I sell for this amount? So this is your chance to sit down and really take a look at the number you're seeing. Ask yourself those questions. Go through those bullet points that we had, the locations, the neighborhoods that I'm talking about, school districts, everything like that. Talk to your neighbors about, their thoughts, about their assessment. Could I sell my home for this? Avoid comparing your newest to the old assessment. It's not a fair comparison because of that date of 1968. If you are not satisfied with that particular value placed in the house, then you can go ahead and make an appointment with Tyler Technologies in an informal process to discuss your concerns. That's your opportunity to take part in this reassessment. Your chance to say, hey, I understand your value, I see it. However, have you taken a look at it from this angle? Here's why I feel, for instance, the value of my home is 100,000, not 150,000. That's just an example. This is your chance to provide evidence in an informal setting with a meeting with Tyler Technologies to prove, your case of value. And that's fantastic. That's a great opportunity again for you. But again, if you feel that, yes, this number that is on here, I could sell my house. I would sell my house for that number. Then you really don't need to do anything with that. Then the informal process would not be a concern for you, or the formal process of assessment appeal. So again, if you do want to provide that evidence, you'll schedule time to meet with a Tyler representative. You'll bring all important documentation or evidence, if you want to call it that. And then again, you can, for that appeal process, that informal or formal appeal process, you can visit the county website for more information. Again, and that it's all going to be there on that living document on both of our websites, both of them linked, and then the county assessment website as well. Tyler and the county, we're going to partner together. We're going to, it's a support of value at that time. We'll partner with the county through the informal review process, including the website for appraisal project, appeal support, document flow, and participation in board of revision hearings. So Tyler and the county, we're going to be working very close as a team throughout this entire process to see you, the property owner, and the county through to the end. And that end will be the formal process before the county's board of appeals. So we continue to work hand in hand. We continue to provide information. We continue to analyze based on information you provide in your informal or formal process. So again, there's opportunity throughout this entire process for you to bring these details to the table. And then the county, coupled with Tyler, we will continue to analyze that for you. Which brings us to the end. This is our contact information. Both websites that I had mentioned throughout here are on here. My contact information here at the office is here as well. So I do encourage you, if you have any questions, get to that website. You can find a lot of the information on that living document. A lot of your questions can be answered through the web, either be it on the Tyler side or the Lackawanna side. I've looked at them both, and they're both very close with the information that's there. Phone numbers are there if you need them. I have my email address there. Lackawanna County has their assessment office email address there as well. So feel free to reach out. We want to be accessible to you the best we can, and work with you throughout this entire process, answer your questions, educate you, let you know that you are a part of this process, and bring more of it to light with the full transparency of the websites and what we have to offer. So at this time, that's pretty much all I have from the Tyler Technologies end as far as the presentation. I hope you got a little more of an education from this, a little more of an understanding of what's going to be happening in your county over these next couple of years. I hope you're set a little more at ease of your ability to work with us in all the opportunities that you have to reach out, make contact with a Tyler or a county assessment employee, and bring your property up to the present day speed, so that we understand completely what's happening out there. So at this time, I'm going to turn it back over to Tracy Hart, and I believe at that time she'll take it from here. Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you. The one email that I received is from Marie Schumacher, and she's from Scranton, and she starts her email off by saying, I will start by putting forth an issue raised at the Scranton City Council meeting by a citizen, as I agree wholeheartedly with. So her first question / bullet point is this. One of the points that they brought up is to bring this assessment into place, that they are going to use a 30-month rolling comps, meaning going back for comparable sales of properties in the last 30 months. However, these comps are unnaturally inflated because of hyper low interest rate. That's not the case anymore, and that will not be the case. There is no way for them to draw when pulling comps and non-sales because houses aren't selling because the interest rate is going up 4 to 6%. You cannot pull a comp that says property values have fallen because the data that will be pulled from sales. That formula may not work. I don't know if you can espouse on that statement or help explain that in any way.
Sure, Tracy, we can definitely do that. It is a tough question. It is a valid question as well. Basically here, throughout my presentation, throughout going through all these slides, one thing remains steady. We are doing an ongoing analysis of sales. We are doing an ongoing analysis of data. Now, Tyler Technologies, the county assessment offices, we do not set or predict the market. That's not our job. We cannot do that. However, we can look at trends in the market, take into account for them. And when we do set our values come July of 2024, the informal values, we can take into account those trends. That is the best we can do based on the analysis and the data that is continuing to come in over that 30-month. So again, we cannot predict or set the market, the real estate market. However, we can take a look at and take into account trends when it comes to our analysis and data. So I hope that, that helps her with your question a little bit more, gives her a better understanding, that it is an ongoing process. And we do, acknowledge the fluctuation of the market. We absolutely do. But again, we can't predict it. We can't set it. All we can do is look at the trends at this point over that 30-month period and take account for those trends when we do our analysis, we do our sales study, and then eventually and finally set our assessed value in the end.
Okay, and her next question is, will the end product include a formula that will allow for an updated assessment in 1, 2, or 3 years?
As far as an assessment beyond the certification of this particular one in the winter of 2025, I really can't speak for that, whether or not if the county will move forward with anything beyond setting the values in 2026, because that is the first time that the new assessed values will take place. The property owners will actually see the new assessed values take effect in January of 2026. Their taxes will be based on new assessed value in 2026. Beyond that, years to come, I cannot speak for the county at that point. Maybe I can leave that to you or someone else, Tracy, whether or not you would like to expand on it at this time. But as far as a set formula, no. All I can tell you is that Tyler will provide the certified assessed values along with the county come January or early 2026.
Okay, thank you. And her last question is, Scranton's poor sales going back to 2019 and 2020 kept the common level ratio low, which helped most of the other properties to keep their taxes low as well. I don't know necessarily if that's a question or a statement.
Yeah, it kind of seems like more of both. She's referencing the common level ratio. I understand that. However, she's referencing back to 2019. Basically, I can only go by the sales study beginning here in 2022. The data that we're going to be, I really can't reference back into 2019 as far as anything that's affecting the common level ratio at that point, or its impact on taxes or assessments. But the only thing I can really reference moving forward is from the sales studies essentially and data collection beginning now. So yeah, I know that really doesn't help her as far as the question on that one. But as far as I'm going to stay specific to this reassessment on that, and the CLR affects things differently. But I won't be able to really reference and tie it in with the reassessment of 2022 moving forward. So I know that really doesn't answer her questions, but as far as 2019 or 2020, but again, I'm going to defer to what we are doing right now, and that's all I can talk on is the data that we have begun collecting here in 2022, moving forward up into 2024, 25.
Okay, and that's all I have so far. I've been checking, and those are the only questions that I have received.
Excellent. Thank you, Tracy.
And that's it, if no one has anything else. Patrick, do you have anything?
I do not. I thought
Okay.
Chris's presentation pretty much covered everything we would need answered today.
Okay. All right, well, thank you, everyone. We'll be having a few more of these in the near future.
Okay.
Very
Thank
good. Thank you, everyone.